Welcome back to Forkcast Weekly. This is episode 8, 35 trending open source projects from this week on GitHub, including a system that turns your AI coding assistant into a full video production studio. Let's get into it. You have an AI coding assistant sitting right there, but turning it into a video producer means stitching together 5 different tools, rendering overnight, and praying the audio syncs. OpenMontage is the world's first open source agentic video production system. 12 pipelines, 52 tools, 500 agent skills, your Claude code or cursor becomes a full studio. It pulls real stock footage from archive.org and NASA, not just still images. How does it decide which provider to use for each step? A 7-dimension scored selection with per-action budget caps, so there are no surprise bills. A tireless video producer that runs on your laptop. You tell an AI coding agent to build a landing page. It gives you gray rectangles, default system fonts, and blue links from 2008. The agent has no idea what your brand looks like. Design.md from Google Labs solves this with a single file that combines machine-readable design tokens with human-readable rationale. A CLI lints it for WCAG contrast violations, diffs versions for regressions, and exports to Tailwind v4 CSS or W3C design tokens. Can a Markdown file really replace a design system Figma file? For AI agents, yes, tokens give exact values. Prose tells them why those values exist. The missing spec that makes agents design fluent. Every messaging app assigns you an ID, a phone number, a username, an email. That ID is the thread that ties every conversation, every contact, every timestamp back to you. SimpleX is the first messaging network with no user identifiers whatsoever, not even random numbers. Communication uses disposable, pairwise message queues with post-quantum end-to-end encryption on every ratchet step. Trail of Bits audited it twice. The protocol has no global profile, no servers that store user records, no metadata that survives delivery. What does privacy look like when the network literally cannot know who you are? An encrypted fortress that leaves zero trace. You ask Claude, "Should I buy this stock?" and it gives you a perfectly balanced non-answer, pros and cons, no conviction. ai-berkshire is a value investing framework that enforces actual decisions. It runs 4 AI agents simultaneously, each embodying a different master: Buffett on financials, Munger doing inversion, Duan Yongping on business models, Li Lu on long-term certainty. They argue. They disagree. The Buffett agent calls a stock cheap, while the Li Lu agent flags a management red flag. Exactly the tension real investors face. Real money track record, plus 69% in 2024, plus 66% in 2025. A complete investment research team running on Claude code. You're trading across 3 markets, watching dozens of tickers, and the news is moving faster than you can read. Daily Stock Analysis is an LLM-powered multi-market intelligence system that runs on GitHub Actions for exactly $0. It pulls real-time quotes from A-shares, Hong Kong and US markets, cross-references with breaking news, and generates a decision dashboard with automated push notifications, 51,000 stars in its first weeks. What if your morning coffee came with an institutional-grade market briefing that cost nothing to run? The Retail Investor's Command Center. Video editors are built for humans clicking timelines. AI agents need programmatic control, an editor that speaks MCP, not just keyboard shortcuts. Palmier-pro is a macOS native video editor built from the ground up for AI. It exposes its entire editing surface through the Model Context Protocol, so any coding agent can orchestrate cuts, transitions, effects, and exports. 9,000 stars in its first weeks. What happens when video editing is no longer a GUI skill, but an API call? Your AI agent just became a post-production team. Your car has cameras, radar, and compute, but the driver assistance software is locked down, never updated, and 3 generations behind what's possible. OpenPilot is an open-source operating system for robotics that upgrades the driver assistance on over 300 supported cars. It runs on Comma's dedicated hardware with ISO 26262 safety guidelines, hardware in the loop testing on every commit, and 685 contributors constantly improving the models. 62,000 stars. What does it take to run your car on open source code? A device the size of a smartphone and a community that ships faster than any automaker. Your AI coding agent can write a React component, but it has no idea how to analyze a memory dump for credential theft or map an attack to MITRE-ATT. This repository packs 817 structured cybersecurity skills into a progressive disclosure format, 30 tokens to scan the catalog, 2,000 to load any skill for execution. Mapped across 6 frameworks including MITRE-ATT v19.1, NIST CSF 2.0, and the brand new MITRE Fight Fraud framework. An agent with these skills follows the same playbook a senior DFIR analyst would, the entire cybersecurity curriculum, available with one/command. Docker Desktop on a Mac is a resource furnace, virtualizing an entire Linux kernel through a hypervisor just to run a single container. Apple's container tool takes a radically different approach. Lightweight virtual machines using macOS's native virtualization framework, written entirely in Swift and optimized for Apple Silicon. It's fully OCI compatible, so you pull from and push to any standard registry. 44,000 stars, v1.0 shipped this month. What if containers on a Mac felt native instead of like a Linux compatibility layer bolted on top? A container runtime that actually belongs on macOS. Voice cloning today means uploading audio to someone else's server, paying per character, and hoping they delete it afterwards. VoiceBox is the open-source alternative that runs entirely local. 7 TTS engines, including Qwen 3 TTS, voice cloning, global dictation that types into any app, and an MCP server, so AI agents can speak and transcribe. The v0.5 release added voice personalities, powered by a local LLM that modulates tone and delivery. 35,000 stars. What if every app on your computer could hear you and speak back with zero cloud dependency? Your personal AI voice studio. You're a solo developer with an AI coding agent, but a real engineering team has a CEO making product decisions, a designer obsessing over the UI, an ENG manager reviewing architecture, QA catching edge cases, and a release manager handling deploys. Gstack gives you all 23 of those roles as Claude code/commands. It was built by Y Combinator's Colt's CEO Gary Tan as his personal setup. The confusion protocol stops the agent when it's about to make a destructive architectural decision. 118,000 stars. What's your solo output look like when 23 specialists have your back? You bought a Raspberry Pi or an old NUC to run a home server. Then you spent 3 weekends configuring Docker, reverse proxies, SSL certificates, and storage mounts and gave up. CasaOS is a personal cloud system so simple your family can use it. One-click app store with Nextcloud, Home Assistant, Jellyfin, and the entire R stack. Visual drive management, system widgets, and a dashboard that doesn't require a terminal. 36,000 stars. What does it take to turn a $100 board into a private cloud that anyone can operate? A single curl command and a beautiful web UI. Planning a trip with friends means a shared Google Doc, 17 browser tabs of flight searches, a separate splitwise for costs, and nobody knows where the hotel confirmation went. Trek is a self-hosted travel planner that replaces all of that. Real-time collaboration, interactive maps with OSRM road routing, splitwise style expense splitting with live currency conversion, and automatic booking import from emails and PDFs via KDE Itinerary. It even optimizes daily routes as loops from your hotel, passkey login, 20 languages, your trip, your server, your data. There's a WordPress site you need to rebuild in Next.js, where the source code is gone and only the live site remains. Doing this manually means weeks of reverse engineering CSS, extracting assets, and rebuilding components. The AI website cloner runs a 5-phase pipeline. Reconnaissance extracts exact computed styles and design tokens. Foundation rebuilds the theme. Component specs document every interaction state. Parallel builder agents construct sections simultaneously. And assembly merges it all into a clean Next.js 16 app. One command. What used to take a month now takes an afternoon. Your AI agent handles a single prompt. But real work, researching a competitor, generating a report, building a data pipeline, takes hours and dozens of subtasks. Deerflow is ByteDance's open-source super agent harness that spawns sub-agents for parallel exploration, each with its own sandboxed file system, tools, and termination conditions. It has persistent memory across sessions, extensible skills you drop in as markdown files, and aggressive context engineering that prevents the token window from exploding. 75,000 stars. What happens when your agent can work for 2 hours instead of 2 minutes? Your metrics are in Prometheus, logs in Loki, traces in Tempo, database health in Postgres, and every time something breaks, you're alt-tabbing between 4 dashboards trying to correlate the spike. Grafana unifies all of it. 75,000 stars, 14,000 forks, and connectors for virtually every data source in existence. It's the open and composable observability platform that lets you visualize, alert, and explore without vendor lock-in. What does incident response look like when every signal converges in one place? The dashboard that runs the internet's infrastructure. Figma owns your design files. They live on Figma's servers, in Figma's format, accessible only through Figma's browser tab. Penpot is the open-source alternative that speaks developer-native languages. Designs are expressed as SVG, CSS, and HTML, not proprietary blobs. It has native design tokens, an MCP server for AI-driven design-to-code workflows, CSS grid and flex layout that behave like real code, and an inspect mode that gives you production-ready markup. 54,000 stars, verified as a digital public good. What if your design tool actually understood the web platform? You need to merge 2 PDFs, sign one, and redact a paragraph from a third. The online tools want you to upload sensitive documents to their server. The desktop software costs $15 a month. Stirling-PDF is the #1 PDF application on GitHub. 85,000 stars, 50+ tools, runs anywhere. Desktop client, browser, or self-host Docker container. It never sends your documents anywhere. 40 languages, SSO for enterprise, a REST API for automation. What does it look like when the most popular PDF tool on the planet is open source and keeps your files local? You're tracking geopolitical events, stock movements, and infrastructure incidents across 65 data providers, each in its own tab, each updating at different intervals. WorldMonitor unifies all of it into a single real-time dashboard. 500 curated news feeds, 56 map layer types including a 3D globe, a country instability index that scores 31 nations, 29 stock exchanges, and optional local AI via Alima, so no data leaves your machine. 60,000 stars. What if situational awareness wasn't a team of analysts, but a single open-source application? Windows ships with the basics, but power users need batch rename, always-on-top Windows, a color picker, keyboard remapping, and a launcher that actually finds things. PowerToys is Microsoft's open-source collection of 30+ utilities that fill every productivity gap in Windows. 136,000 stars, 633 contributors, and a release cadence that ships improvements every few weeks. The latest version migrated to .NET 10 and shrank the installer by 97 megabytes. What if Windows came with all the power user features you've been installing separately for years? You drop a PDF into your RAG pipeline and it comes back as garbled text, tables scrambled, formulas lost, columns merged. PDFs are black holes for LLMs. MinerU is a document parsing engine that transforms complex PDFs, DOCX, PPTX, and spreadsheets into clean LLM-ready markdown. Formulas become LaTeX. Tables become HTML with cross-page merging preserved. It supports 109 languages of OCR, runs on pure CPU if needed, and the latest v3.4 release doubled OCR speed. 71,000 stars. What's your RAG pipeline worth when the documents actually parse correctly? AI presentation tools give you slide images, static PNGs you can't edit, can't change fonts on, can't adjust a single chart axis. ppt-master is the only AI tool that outputs real, natively editable PowerPoint files, native drawing ML shapes, text boxes and charts. Click and edit every element. It voices your speaker notes as audio narration and can follow your own template so the output matches your brand. 33,000 stars. The creator's philosophy is refreshingly honest. This is a tool, not a wishing well. The polishing left is yours. A plugin ecosystem makes or breaks a platform. But a wide open marketplace where anyone can publish means you're one malicious plugin away from a compromised development environment. Anthropic's official plugin directory curates high-quality Claude Code plugins, internal ones maintained by Anthropic and external ones that pass quality and security review. It supports skill bundle plugins, where a single GitHub repo contributes multiple capabilities via skill.md files. 31,000 stars. What does a trusted plugin ecosystem look like when the platform owner does the curation? Programmatic video rendering today means learning, React, and Remotion. But your AI coding agent already writes HTML fluently. Why can't it render video directly from HTML? Hyperframes from HeyGen lets you define a video as an HTML file with data attributes for timing. Bring your own animation library, GSApp, Lottie, 3.js, CSS, anime.js, or plain WA API. Deterministic rendering means the same input always produces identical frames, perfect for CI pipelines. 32,000 stars, 19 agent skills shipped. When HTML becomes a video format, every web developer is a motion designer. Browser automation for AI agents usually means running Python, launching headless Chrome, taking screenshots and feeding pixels to a vision model. Page Agent from Alibaba does none of that. It's a JavaScript library that lives inside the web page itself, using text-based DOM manipulation. No screenshots, no multimodal models, no browser extensions required. Control any web interface with natural language, entirely client-side. It ships with a Chrome extension for multi-page tasks and an MCP server for external agent control. 20,000 stars. What if your web app had a built-in AI copilot in 5 lines of code? Every AI agent conversation starts from zero. No memory of your preferences, no awareness of past decisions, no skills earned from previous tasks. Hermes-agent from Noose Research is built around a closed learning loop. It creates skills from completed work, improves them during use, and builds a persistent user model over time. It has a built-in cron scheduler, sub-agent delegation for parallel work streams, and runs on 6 different terminal backends from a $5 VPS to a GPU cluster. 205,000 stars. 1,500 contributors. What does an agent look like when it actually grows with you? RAG systems can retrieve documents, but retrieval is not memory. Your agent can't connect that bug report from last month with the code change from yesterday. Cognee builds a persistent knowledge graph from your data, combining vector embeddings with graph reasoning to surface relationships, not just matches. 2 API calls. Remember to store, recall to query, with automatic routing to the best search strategy. It can collapse an entire multi-service stack into a single Postgres instance. 24,000 stars, backed by an Arxiv paper. What if your agent could actually remember? Building a web scraper that works at scale means handling JavaScript rendering, rotating proxies, rate limits, captchas, and turning messy HTML into clean markdown. Firecrawl does all of that as an API call. It covers 96% of the web with a P95 latency of 3.4 seconds. The output is LLM-ready markdown or structured JSON. Spent tokens go on reasoning, not on parsing raw HTML. It has an Actions API, so agents can click, scroll, and type on pages. 140,000 stars. When web scraping becomes an API, every AI agent gets eyes. Proprietary coding agents lock you into someone else's pricing, someone else's model choices, someone else's feature roadmap. Opencode is the open-source alternative. MIT licensed, 180,000 stars, nearly 1,000 contributors. It runs as a terminal agent, a desktop app, or a VS Code extension. Plan mode explores codebases read only before making changes. General subagents handle complex multi-step searches. The install is one curl command. What does the coding agent landscape look like when the most popular option is fully open source? Setting up a multi-agent team means manually defining each agent's role, writing their system prompts, selecting their tools, and praying they don't contradict each other. Harness is a meta skill that designs the entire team for you. Feed it a project description, and it selects one of 6 architectural patterns, defines specialized agents for each role, and generates the skills they use. 8,000 stars. It turns a project description into a coordinated team of agents with a single prompt. What if architecting your AI team was automated before you wrote a single line of code? Every developer has a mental list of free tier services, the CI that gives you 2,000 minutes, the database with a generous free plan, the monitoring tool that's free for a single host. But that list is constantly changing. Free for Dev is a community-maintained catalog of SaaS, PaaS, and IaaS offerings with free tiers for developers. 124,000 stars. Continuously updated, covers every category from email to Kubernetes. The most starred curated list on GitHub is not a framework or a tool, it's a survival guide for building on zero budget. Building for iOS and Android means 2 codebases, 2 languages, 2 sets of bugs. Flutter compiles to native ARM code from a single Dart codebase, rendering every pixel through its own Skia engine, so you get identical behavior on both platforms. Google's framework powers over 1 million published apps and just keeps growing. 178,000 stars, 30,000 forks. The widget system means everything is composable, and hot reload gives you sub-second iteration. Cross-platform development where the platform differences disappear. SEMrush costs $130 a month. RF starts at $99. For indie hackers and small sites, SEO tools are a significant line item before you've earned $1. OpenSEO is the open-source alternative, self-hosted, MIT licensed, and built to cover the core workflows of keyword research, rank tracking, and site auditing. It's early, but growing fast. 3,500 stars in its first weeks. What if the SEO toolchain was as open as the web it analyzes? You've been vibe coding with an AI agent for an hour. The code looks great. You type git push, and production goes down because the agent quietly removed an error handler or changed an API contract. No Mistakes is a pre-push safety net specifically for AI-generated code. It intercepts git push and runs validation gates, checks for deleted error handling, unexpected API changes, and common AI coding patterns that look correct but break at runtime. 4,000 stars in its first week. Push with confidence when your copilot is an AI. Recruiters spend an average of 6 seconds per resume. Qualified candidates get filtered out by keyword matching, while polished but hollow applications sail through. Hiring Agent from Interview Street uses an AI agent to evaluate and score resumes with actual comprehension. It reads experience, assesses skill depth, and cross-references qualifications against job requirements. Powered by RAG for document processing at scale. 3,000 stars. What if the first pass on your job application was read by an agent that actually understood what you built, not just whether you spelled Kubernetes correctly? A fairer first filter. That's all 35 projects from Forkcast Weekly Episode 8. Every GitHub link is in the description. Grab anything that caught your eye. Subscribe, and you will never miss the next trending breakout repo on Forkcast.